Hi, everyone. On this episode of Me, You, and Who, I had the pleasure of speaking with Jenn, a remarkable three-time gestational carrier. In 2015, at the age of 40, Jenn decided to explore what it meant to be a surrogate, and her life has grown so much sweeter ever since. Jenn shares her experience of matching with her first set of intended parents and how that incredible journey inspired her to bring such joy to other families again and again. While each journey was beautiful, Jenn also faced some challenges. However, her story is filled with support and profound joy, and you'll hear nothing but love and pure happiness as Jenn shares about her three incredible journeys. Me, you, and who? Who knew it would take more than two people to have a baby? In a world where infertility is no longer a taboo topic, this podcast will take you through all of the different aspects of surrogacy and egg donation through the lens of many who walk this journey in different ways. My name is Whitney Hall, and I am a two-time surrogate, now turned surrogacy coordinator for Egg Donor and Surrogate Solutions, the very agency I used when I chose to carry for two amazing families. With this podcast, it is our goal to help guide and support you as you learn about what it takes to grow a family in an alternative way, as well as hear inspiring and beautiful stories of how this path has changed lives forever. We can't wait for you to hear about just one more way happy families are created every day. Hi, Jenn. I'm so glad you're here.
Hey, Whitney. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, of course. I mean, and we've already said it. We just love chatting about all of the things. So I'm just so excited to hear more of your story in depth.
Yeah. Well, let me start with my first one. So,
Hold on. Before we even get there, what
Okay.
even led you to surrogacy in the first place?
It kind of started. So both of my kids were in junior high. And
Yeah.
I kind of said to my husband, I'm like, I kind of, do you want to maybe have another baby? And he's like, you're crazy. He goes, no. He goes, boys are in junior high. He's like, I do not want to start all over again. And
yeah, the finish line, it's like right there. You
right,
can see it.
I know. So I kind of got thinking, and my youngest son, Anthony, was playing on a team with Lauren's son. And, yeah. So, and everybody kept talking about Lauren and the twins. I'm like, I don't see any twins. I see her like two boys there, but they're not twins. And
sure.
So I kind of found out what she did. And I said to my husband, I'm like, what do you think about that? And he's like, really? You'd want to do that? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I was 40 at the time. Mm-hmm. So I hadn't been pregnant in, a long time. So I didn't know if I was too old, if I really didn't know much about it.
Sure.
So I got talking to Lauren, and she kind of filled me in on how it all works. And she asked me if that's something I'd be interested in. I'm like, you know what? Why not? Let's just see. I had, was very blessed to have great pregnancies with both boys.
Yeah.
I enjoyed being pregnant. And I'm like, you know what? Here's a chance for me to do something and to help somebody, something that would never, ever really even cross my mind back when I was younger. And I figured, if everything falls into place, why not? Let's just see. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, and I think it's so interesting because a lot of people, you mentioned like, okay, hey, I'm 40. Like, there's no way.
Right.
And it was, I'm like, yeah.
Because they say usually, people are done having kids by the time they're in their early 30s or mid 30s, at least for me. I mean, I was done having my kids by the time I got Anthony, I was 29, I turned 30 that winter. So, yeah, so I was, I was done having kids, but,
that ship sailed.
Yeah. And, a lot of women now are having babies later in life.
Yeah.
Because, times have changed and people are getting married later and everything else. So yeah, it was just really crazy to kind of have it, come up the way that it did, and everything kind of worked out, the first time. And just very, very crazy, very, very surreal experience.
For sure. So at the very beginning of that process, as you're kind of like discerning, hey, is this actually something that I want to do? what was maybe the thing that was like pushed you over the edge as far as like, no, this is for sure it?
I met the first couple that I was introduced to, and I fell in love with them, and I just, having been fortunate to have two kids of my own with no, IVF. I mean, I did it, everything was worked the way it was supposed to work. My heart kind of broke for them, knowing everything that
Yeah.
they were going through, and I just couldn't imagine not being able to, to have a child the way that they wanted to, and
Sure.
I just kind of, my husband and I talked about it. He wasn't too crazy about it at first. He's like, I don't know if you're gonna, mentally, if you're gonna be okay. And I'm like, I'm okay, not having the baby or the child for the 18 years, right? I'm like, this
Sure.
pregnancy for me just came real easily, and I just, you know, kind of felt a little bit of a calling to, to help those that weren't able to do it. Um,
Yeah.
Again,
So,
my pregnancies were good. I didn't have any issues, and I know a lot of women, like a lot of my girlfriends, are like, "You're nuts." My pregnancies were horrible. My pregnancies were horrible. I'm like, well, I was, I guess, one of the lucky ones.
sure. So when you were talking to your husband about all of this and he had concerns and you said he wasn't wild about it at first.
Hmm.
I mean, it sounded like he was really just concerned for your mental health, but what kind of brought him around to supporting this and ultimately supporting this 3 different times?
Yeah. He heard what I was saying, and I think he kind of looked at it from that perspective as well. To have not to be able to have kids, you know, himself, and
Sure.
he met the parents, obviously the first time as well, and we really
Yeah.
clicked. We really clicked, and honestly, Lauren made it so easy. I guess if I want to say that, very easy to
Yeah.
for the whole process, and it was just a great experience. And not really knowing much about it, she did a phenomenal job of just explaining everything. The clinic was amazing. Everybody was amazing.
Sure, you felt educated along the
Yeah.
way, having gone from kind of this vague idea of, whispers of this woman Lauren and
Right.
these twins to
Right.
all of a
Right.
sudden, yeah.
Yeah. So it was just, again, everything kind of just lined right up, and yeah, it was amazing. It was
Oh, I
amazing.
love that. So, okay, with kind of like that matching process and,
Hmm.
you're meeting intended parents for the first time, what would you say was that thing that kind of let you know like, oh, this is right. Like these are the intended parents that I want to go on this journey with.
Well, we both had the same first name,
Oh my God, I
so that was great.
love
She was a little bit older than me, and we listened to their story, and they had such a just nice, just such a nice couple, such a sweet
it.
couple, and just
Mm.
just I really don't know how to describe it. We just really clicked with them, and they were just so appreciative. And it kind of, I'm not one to really talk about myself, so to at that match
Yeah.
meeting, we met up for dinner, and it was very just weird for me to kind of sit there and kind of like promote yourself in a sense.
Sure.
You don't want to
Sure.
seem over the top, but you kind of I just I was very open and honest and truthful, and they were too. And yeah, Lauren just did a great job in, matching. Because I said to her, I'm like, me, the couples that you have. So I'm like, I'll just leave it in your good hands to, match
Mm.
us because both personalities. And, I told her that I was open to whatever type of relationship that, the parents wanted. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to force something. And, I've been very lucky to have all three couples. We still remain in touch and everything else. Um,
Mm. But you
so yeah,
trusted
there's
that process.
Yes, I did. I did because I knew
Yeah.
Lauren. I trusted Lauren. I knew that she knew what she was doing, and and there, I guess there is, at some point there is an option if things don't work out, then you can kind of walk away, and that's me. I didn't want to do that, um, but yeah, they were just the first couple. They were just so amazing, and we really just clicked. Just very genuine, generally nice people.
I love that. I love that. So, as you're starting on this journey and you yourself have these 2 middle school boys, how did you navigate explaining the process to them? And then how did they navigate it with, their friends?
Yeah, they learned a lot. That's for sure. We got
They learned a
we
lot.
I think one time they watched my husband give me the injection, and
Sure.
my youngest one, he's like, "Yeah, I don't want to ever see that again." The needle's a little too long. Um, but no, they were great actually. I mean, they, like I said, they learned a lot. We definitely involved them in the whole process. And a lot of their friends, they see me pregnant, and they're like, "Oh,
Sure.
your mom's pregnant. You having a brother or a sister?" And they're like, "Well, here's what's going
Neither.
on." Yeah, yeah. So their friends thought it was really cool, and they got to kind
Yeah.
of teach their friends everything about it and how it all works and everything else. But yeah, they were great, and I think, especially my youngest one, he's always been, I always said he'd make a phenomenal big brother. So him
Hmm.
having these three, surrogate siblings is what we call them.
Sure,
He just
sure.
he loves that. He really does. And yeah, but they were great. Their friends were great, and we'd be walking through the mall, all four of us, and I'd be pregnant, and we'd get some funny looks like,
Oh,
"Oh wow,
sure.
that's a mistake," Because you've got these two, almost teenage boys.
Sure,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So
But
that
little
was
did they
fun.
know.
Right, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you went on your first journey. Tell us about it.
So yeah, so the first one we is from a couple in Fort Myers, and the clinic I said was here in Tampa,
Yeah.
and the first transfer actually didn't take, and
Hmm.
that was kind of hard because here you think everything's going to work, and it's
Yeah.
such a science that it's not a guarantee either, and that kind of set me back. I'm like, wow, yeah, this is it's not a sure thing. So that was a
Yeah.
little disappointing, but we moved on and we transferred. I think the first one was in April, then we transferred again in August, and that one took. And it
Mm.
was a girl, which when people found out I was having a girl, they're like, "Oh my God, are you okay with having a girl?" I'm like,
Oh
"I'm
gosh.
fine." I'm like, "I am good. I got two boys. I am glad with two boys. I am good." But but yeah, I wasn't with both of my boys. I went naturally. I wasn't induced or anything like that.
Okay.
But with this one, where I was over 40, they induced me. They were going to induce me, but we were actually at travel ball games all weekend long in
Okay.
April. And I think we had 9 baseball games in a matter of like 2 days because both my boys were playing travel.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I remember we got into bed that night, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm just so tired." And I think, just over 38 weeks. And my husband's like, "Oh," because I just can't wait to go to sleep. And I hopped out of bed real quick. I'm like I think my water just broke because
Oh
my water had
no.
never broken with either one of my boys. So I wasn't quite sure what was going on.
Yeah.
So I get into the bathroom, I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." So he called the parents from Fort Myers, and like, "Okay." Well, I'm like, "Well, just be on standby and let's see, what's going to happen." So we went to the
Yeah.
hospital. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and we get there, and I get out of the car, and I'm like, and my water definitely broke. It was just like,
Finished
"Oh
breaking.
yes," I'm like, "Fun, fun." So yeah, they got there later that evening, or I guess night. I think they got there about 1 a.m. because they were, it was about 2.5 hour drive from Fort Myers. But
Yeah.
I had her that morning, and it was such a surreal experience. And just to
Hmm.
see, the mom, I remember her saying to me, she goes, "Do you mind if I look?" I'm like, "This is your baby." I'm like, I mean, by that point, as you've had a couple of kids on your own, you're like, you're whatever.
What is modesty at
Right,
this point? Yeah, we're done. We're over
exactly. But
it.
she just, she watched the whole thing, and she just see the look on her face afterwards, and just see the pure
Oh.
joy. And I'm like, wow, it was something. But the pregnancy was very easy. It was almost like I was pregnant again for the first time because it'd been,
Mm.
11 years since I'd been pregnant. So
Sure.
yeah, so it was very, very different. We spent a couple of days in the hospital together, and when they went to leave, I was a hot mess. She was crying, I was crying. My husband was like, "Are you
Mm.
okay?" And I'm not sad that she's not coming home with us. It's more, it's over. I mean, you deliver,
Sure.
and that's it. There's no leading up to it in a sense. I mean, you deliver, and the baby's theirs, and there's such a finality to it in a sense.
Yeah.
And but we kind of all got our tears out. And although I think for a couple of weeks later, I think it was about a couple of weeks, I was still kind of like up and down and all over the place. But I think it was just the hormones and just, what I had done, and just, just again, it's just, I can't believe that I did it, that I actually did that for somebody. And it was just, you kind of just get a really good feeling. It's almost like a high too. You get like just knowing that you helped somebody,
Yeah.
create a family. And, not a lot of people can do that. Not a lot of people want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, and it's so interesting because I think you hit the nail on the head as far as that that finality to the whole thing, because that is the end game. It's seeing, mom or parent, like becoming a parent for the first time, or finishing their family or growing their whatever the context is, and just that look of pure joy.
Yeah.
And then this big huge thing happens and you go home and nothing in your life has changed.
No. And that was
now
crazy.
It's baseball, and now it's like you just kind of keep going.
Yeah.
And I think it's I know that's something, as a coordinator and then as a surrogate myself, I was always like, okay, I know this big thing is about to happen. This is so weird. I've just done this big thing and my kiddos are still asking for snacks at the end of the day, and life just kind of keeps going on. And I remember having the best advice given to me. It was, go and have something to look forward to. Go and for your family, go and have something to look forward to, because like you said, it's not like you're sad that the baby's gone.
Right.
It's just, you've just done this really big thing, and it's kind of like, wow, that's done. That's over.
Yeah. And then, you go home and there's no baby to take care of. So you kind of sit there and you're like, what do you, like you said, what do you do? So you kind of have to plan for something to look forward to kind of just,
well, your body's in recovery,
right.
but there's not a baby. So it's kind of this odd juxtaposition.
Yeah.
And yet you went back for more.
Yeah. And I didn't think I was going to, because so I had the baby in April, and then like August, I kind of reached out to Lauren again, and I said, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I'll do this, excuse me, one more time. She's like, really? I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I had such a great experience the first time around. I'm like, why not? And she's like, okay. She's like, yeah. She's like, I definitely have couples. I'm like, well, my only thing is that, this first couple, they were so amazing. And the whole entire journey was just incredible. It's like, it's going to be hard to replicate that. And I don't want to replicate that. I want something different.
Okay.
And so she's like, well, I've got 2 dads that are in Barcelona that are looking. I'm like, you know what? That'd be great. I mean, it's 2 dads. It's, it's an international, international couple. I'm like, why not? It all works the same.
Sure.
So she got me hooked up with them, and we Skyped a couple of times back and forth, and their clinic was out in Las Vegas, which my husband was happy about.
Yes, let's travel. Let's go for it.
I know. But yeah, everything just was very seamless with them. And I went out, I think, one day in October, kind of right after. I think I met up with them in September. So October, we made the appointment for me to go out to Vegas just for the medical screening. So I just flew out myself for, I think, literally less than 24 hours. It was kind of like a whirlwind trip. And everything was good. And then we had the transfer in February. So my husband came out with me. At that point, we were there for 5 days, which, being in Vegas for 5 days, I had never been to Vegas. And when you go and you get pregnant, and it's like, you can't really do much.
Not a whole lot for you to do.
No, and my husband's out. He's, at the casinos, and he's gambling, and I'm in the hotel room, because it was like the only quiet place in the entire, Las Vegas is so loud. We did like 1 day trip, but I'm like, I just want to I'll just stay in the hotel. I got my Kindle. I got some movies. We'll just,
There you go. Just
very crazy, very, very crazy. But yeah, that transfer, I was convinced I was not pregnant with that one, because I didn't feel any different.
Okay.
And here I was thinking, wow, we have to go back out there, do it over again. And then,
sure,
the logistics with the boys, because they were still in school, and just trying to line all that up. And then with the clinic being out there, I didn't get any notifications until later in the day, like 6:30 at night. So it was like an all-day process, because I was using the monitoring clinic here.
Right.
So I'd go in the morning for blood work, and then I had to wait all day long. It was like, it's a long wait as it is, but when it's 6:30 at night, our time, it's like,
Sure, Eastern time, Pacific time, like
yeah,
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 exactly.
yeah. So they sent me the email saying that I was pregnant. I'm like, okay, wow, all right. I mean,
Look at
yeah,
that.
yeah. And so they came over. The two dads came over in October. I was due the end of October, and they were here for a few, I think about 2.5 weeks before I was induced, and which was great
And
because
was
we
that
got,
the first time you had physically met them?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They rented an Airbnb here, not far from me, and so it was great. We got to hang out for a couple of weeks beforehand. They went to a couple of doctor's appointments with me, so I really kind of got
Mm.
to know them, which was, it's kind of a weird. Again, you're meeting this couple for the first time, and here you are carrying their baby, and
Sure.
you're just hoping that you're gonna click and you're gonna get along, and it's not. I mean, there is some weirdness to it, but you hope to just kind of get past that and just start developing that relationship.
Yeah.
And I mean, they are two of the nicest guys I've ever met. I mean, just so
Mm.
sweet and just so, I mean, again, so appreciative and funny because, you got, these two guys that, versus, we have that maternal instinct,
Mm.
and for them, it was a little, they had the books and they had taken classes. So that kind of got
Oh,
me,
sure. So they're asking just all of the questions, all that
yeah,
classic first time parent,
right.
like, okay,
Hmm.
what are we gonna do? What do we
Right,
expect?
right. So it was very, it was kind of fun to kind of, just kind of talk to them about that stuff and everything else. And
Yeah.
and I got induced with her. It was another girl,
Okay.
and after she was born, they were here for about 3 weeks after the fact. She had to get her birth certificate in order to get her passport
Sure,
to go back to
absolutely.
Spain. So which was, I enjoyed that part of it because it kind of gave me time to, I mean, I wasn't bonding with her, but just kind of get to spend a little bit of time with her because I knew, we weren't going to be making any trips over to Barcelona anytime soon. To see.
Sure.
So I kind of got some time to spend with her and to spend with them and kind of help them out a little bit. I remember one time I went over there
Yeah.
after work, and one of the dads had gone down to Miami to get her passport processed and everything else. So the other dad had been home with her all day long. So I called him
Mm.
and said, "Hey, I'll swing over after work, and I can. You need to do laundry, this and that." And I walked in there, and he's like, "Here you go." And he's like, "I'm gonna go for a walk for about 45 minutes."
Just give me a second.
He's like, "I just need a minute." I'm like, "I understand, I get it." But
Absolutely.
yeah. But the boys were great. My two boys were great with her and with them, and we all got along. Again, it was just I was very, very fortunate, one time, let alone two times, and even the third time, to get these amazing parents that were just incredible. And I think
Sure.
if I hadn't had such great experiences, I would not have done it again. But
Yeah.
I knew when I was pregnant the second time that I wanted to do it again. I knew my clock was
Mm.
kind of ticking. I was approaching that 45 age mark.
Sure, sure.
And I had reached out to Lauren again and said, "Hey, listen, I definitely want to do this one more time." So after I delivered my second one in October, I met with these new parents in December, and
Oh,
of course,
wow.
yeah, it was quick. It was very quick, and we, I think, transferred the first time in June because obviously I had to wait a little bit of period of time in between.
Absolutely. Yep. We got to give our body
And
some time.
yeah, and that worked out well with their timeline as well. And we transferred in June, and they're here locally in Tampa.
Okay, yeah,
So,
I was gonna ask, like, what? So you have your first experience with these
hmm
amazing intended parents, and then you specifically said to Lauren, "I want something completely different because there's
hmm
no way I'm going to be able to replicate that." And so,
right.
definitely international, very different
hmm
process as far as just that type of really how to build that relationship. And then you go for a third time, and now you have intended parents that are local to you.
Yes, they were local, and they actually had two girls of their own. But the mom,
Yeah.
she had had, some issues with some miscarriages, and they had lost a son due
Mm.
that had Down. So she delivered. He unfortunately was stillborn. I think at 35 weeks or 36 weeks. So
Oh
so
gosh.
that was a whole different situation for me too, because here
Yeah.
was this mom who had her own children, so I could kind of we could the communication between us was great because she could relate to what I was going through, as far as just being pregnant and everything else,
Yeah.
having gone through it herself. Um, but they, yeah, like I said, they were here locally, and which was nice because that means more of an opportunity to socialize and kind of hang out with them and everything else and get to know them better. But that our first transfer actually ended up in an ectopic pregnancy for me. So my
Mm.
husband and my two boys were in Maine. They were in Maine for the summer, and I was due to fly up at some point. But I had some issues like that morning, and I'm like, I've done this a couple of times. Something's just not something's off. Something just didn't feel
Sure.
right. So I went to the clinic. I called the mom. She met me there, and sure enough, the doctor's like, well, she's like, well, she was that's outside the tube. I'm like, I don't
Mm.
think that's supposed to be like that. So
Oh,
I'm like, okay.
sure.
So I'm like, so what does that entail? And she's like, the doctor was like, well, if you had anything to eat, anything to drink, I'm like, well, a little bit. And she's like, you need to have surgery. I'm like, okay. So I didn't realize the emergent part of it, And she's like, well, you need to
Yeah.
have this out now. I'm like, oh, I'm like, not tomorrow. She's like, no, no. She's I'm going to call the rescue, and you're going to go to the hospital. And you're going to have, you're going to have surgery. I'm like, oh wow, okay. I'm like, hold on. I'm like, just give me a minute and give mom a minute
Yeah.
just to kind of just
So at that
absorb
point of
everything.
realizing that it was an ectopic pregnancy, had you already had the beta? Hey, everything's looking positive,
Yeah, it was
but
6 weeks. I was just over 6 weeks. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So we're thinking
So
we're about to go for like a heartbeat confirmation. We're thinking
yeah,
everything's looking great, and then all of a sudden, this
yeah,
happens.
yeah. Because I'm like, like again, I'm like, I've done this. I just had a little bit of the cramping. I'm like, this isn't normal. So let's just go get it checked
Sure.
out. And sure enough, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, so now I understand why they say make sure your family's complete before you do this because yes, I lost a tube. Didn't really matter to me because I was done having my own kids, and
Yeah.
it was, it wasn't. I wasn't traumatized. I was upset, obviously, and I felt bad for the
Well,
parents. And
yeah.
it's like it kind of everything happened so fast. It just didn't quite. I couldn't quite wrap my head around everything. I think until it
There's
kind of
so
got
many
home.
layers to that situation because
Yeah.
it's like, wow, me personally, I'm about to go and have surgery. Was not
Mhm.
expecting this. Like
Yeah.
now we have to, your family is not there.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, there's so much going on. And then that weight of, oh my gosh, everyone was so hopeful. And
Right.
now we
And then
have
you think,
this,
did you do something wrong? Is it something that I did? And
mm,
they came back and just said, it happens. But
yeah.
again, you don't hear about those. You don't hear about that. You don't
Well, I
hear
think it's
about
so much, yeah, it's so much more fun to talk about the everything goes great and happy
right.
baby and, all of the things. But I mean, you went from, like you said, that first transfer with your first journey not working, having
Mm-hmm.
that realization of, oh, this isn't guaranteed, to a bump like this,
Right.
where, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
how did you kind of, I guess mentally recover is the word I'm choosing, but I think there's a better one out there. Kind of continue to want to move forward even after something like that
Yeah. I mean,
happens.
I talked to the parents, I talked to the mom, and she's like, if you don't want to do this, we completely understand. And I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what? It's a bump in the road. It's part of the journey, and
Mm,
the doctor's like, it's nothing that you did. It's just, again, these things happen. And the
yeah.
parents were just amazing. And, having experienced loss on their end before, they were kind of like, not that they wanted this to happen, but she's like, this is just part of our journey as a couple going through this because
Mm,
we've been going through it since they lost their son.
sure.
So she's like, it's just like, again, a big bump on the road, but in hindsight, we had a successful pregnancy, and it's part of the journey, part of the
Yeah.
story, and you know, God was gracious enough to have that second transfer work, and I delivered a healthy baby
Mm,
boy this time, and yeah, just yeah, not something I would have thought would have happened. And a lot of my
sh-
girlfriends are like, are you okay? Are you going to do this again? I'm like, as long as the doctor says that I'm good and he doesn't have any concerns and he feels that I'm, physically able to, then, I don't want to let them down. I want them
mm,
to get that baby. I don't want them to have to start the process all over again. Because again, we meshed so well. We got along so
Yeah.
well and just had, a great relationship. And the mom actually gave my boys their first job because she was a small business owner. So,
I love
so
it.
keeping it all in the family.
There you go. There you go. I love it. I love it. But I think I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like that's why we do this is
Hmm.
we want those parents to have that baby. We want them to have that
Yeah.
happy ending. And there are those bumps. It's called a journey for a reason.
Right.
But,
Right.
at the end of the day, if you have that why, it
Hmm.
makes decisions like that
I
so
just,
much
I
like,
really, yeah, I really like when I did it the first time, I didn't think I'd do it the second time, but then the second time, I'm like, you know what? I just felt like I had a calling to do it, as silly as
yeah.
that sounds. And I just,
No.
again, it's almost like a high you get just knowing you're helping, you're bringing somebody into the world, and not
Mm,
everybody can do it.
yeah.
And I'm one of the fortunate ones who can do it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it as long as I can, as long as I can, physically and of course age wise too. And it's just, again, you don't hear about the happiness that goes with these stories. It's always the really bad endings, or the surrogate and the parents are in this contract dispute, or they go to court because the surrogate doesn't want to give the baby
Sure,
to
kind of
them.
those
Just,
sensationalized.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
just, it's not all like that. And I figured, if I can, again, help these parents just, expand their family in this case, it's like, why not? If I can, then, I mean, if I wasn't 45 when I delivered my last one, I probably would have done it again. But I
Yes.
was like, 45, I was kind of
I
feeling
think
my
we hit it.
age. Yeah. I'm good. I didn't quite get that urge to do it another time, but I was pregnant during COVID too, so that was a
I
whole
was
other.
about to say, like, not only did you have that, like
Yes.
your finale, your grand finale was
I
truly another grand finale.
Yes, June of 2020. He's definitely a COVID baby. So that, trying to finagle all of that and navigate that with the hospitals, and the
Oh,
hospital.
it's a thing. That was my last journey was June of 2020, and I just,
Okay.
I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
golly,
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
I ended up actually switching hospitals because the one hospital I had delivered prior to that, they were only going to allow one person into the delivery room. I'm like, listen,
Sure.
you know, one, it's not my baby. Two, I want my husband there to be an advocate for me, and parents should be there. So, and the
Yeah.
hospital gave me a lot of back and forth. So we actually switched to another hospital, which is where I delivered my first son. So that was kind of fitting, deliver the first and deliver the
Little
last.
bookend
Yeah,
situation.
exactly.
Yeah.
And we were all able to be in the delivery room, and yeah, and
Oh.
that delivery was very, very quick, very quick. Like, I think I pushed half a push, and he was out. There's a funny
Woo!
story. There's a funny story behind that, because they came in and checked me, and they're like, okay, it's probably going to be a little bit. So the dad
Yeah.
went to get a coffee,
Uh oh.
and when he stepped out, the nurse kind of stepped in. I'm like, I think you need to check me. She's like, well, I just checked you. I'm like, yeah, but I think you should check me again. I think there's something going on down there. And she checked me, and she's like, okay, yeah, the head is right there. She's like, just kind of put your legs together. She's like, don't
Oh
sneeze,
my
don't
gosh.
breathe. So
Oh my gosh.
my husband's kind of run out and grab the dad, and the dad's like, well, what's going on? My husband's like, you need to come now. It's happening. He goes, I just left. He goes, I know, but it's happening now. And so the dad came around that corner, and everyone's in the room, and he came right out very easily. And the dad was like, wow, because I didn't think it was going to happen that fast. And
Oh my
I'm like, well, your
gosh.
fifth baby, they tend to kind of,
Pretty fast, yeah.
slide right on out. So,
Your body knows
but
what it's doing at
yeah,
that point.
exactly. So, but
Oh my
yeah,
gosh. And how was that experience?
it was great. It really was. It was, again, it was amazing. The one
Yeah.
regret I had with that one is that I wish I had not had an epidural, because
Okay.
I wanted to just kind of do it, all natural. My husband's like, why? He's like, every other one you've had the epidural. He goes, it's easy. He goes, why do you want to put yourself through that? I'm like, well, I know. It's like, it's my last one. Like, I want to just kind of wanted to see if I could do it. I mean, I guess you get to a certain point, you don't have a choice. You have to do it. But I chickened out, and
Sure.
I got the epidural at the end. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Let's just end on a good note, not have any, screaming or whoever it was. So, but it was good. We went home. I think we went home the next day,
Yeah.
and yeah, we see each other. Probably maybe every 3 to 4 months. I'll go over there for wine night, and
Oh, I
he's
love
4
it.
now. Yeah, yeah, he's 4 now, and he's a ball of energy. And but yeah, he's great. All three of them are great. And then back in March, the two dads from Barcelona actually came over to
Oh my
Tampa. So we got
gosh. Of
all
this
three
year.
of this year. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
So we got
gosh.
all three kids together and got pictures, and that was something I really wanted to make happen. And yeah, the parents from Fort Myers, they came up, and we spent the day and the evening
Oh,
all together, and to watch the three of the kids kind of interact with one another was just like, it's like, wow. It's like, I did that,
that is
and
so
it's just very,
amazing.
very, very surreal moment for me to see them.
Oh gosh, absolutely. And that must have just been so magical.
Yeah,
So magical.
and I sat and looked at pictures after the fact. I'm like, wow, it didn't. It took a little bit for it to kind of hit me as to what that day meant. And
Mm.
the one from Spain, she's fluent in English, Spanish, and Catalan, so she knows like 3 languages. And
Good for her.
she was talking to the other two like she's known them her entire life, and they all got along.
Oh,
And so that was very, very cool, very cool. And so we
that's
actually have plans. We
amazing.
have plans, I think, in 2 years to go over to Barcelona to see them. And so, because they send us pictures, we'll FaceTime and chat back and forth and everything. But yeah, again, just again, very, very blessed to have 3 amazing couples to do this with.
Yeah.
And my heart hurts for those that don't have a great experience, because it is such a life changing thing that you're doing. And you
Yeah.
want to be able to look back on it and just say, wow, that was just such an amazing, amazing experience and just an amazing time in my life.
Well, it's so interesting. You said at the beginning when you were first getting started, you had said to Lauren, "Hey, I'm open to, whatever type of relationship the intended parents want." And I think at the end of the day, it it makes this all the more sweeter
Oh, definitely.
to have that
Definitely.
relationship. It's such a unique
Hmm.
relationship, and then to be able to, you felt kind of after that first one this kind of odd sensation of like, okay, this big thing, and now there's, all right, that's it. And
Yeah.
then, but it's not it. You still get
Right.
those pictures and
Yes.
your meetups years later.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, the boys, both my boys, my youngest one will be 20 in a couple of weeks. My oldest one is almost 22.
Oh my
And
gosh.
just to kind of like watch them, watch them grow up and just interact with them. Because when they were here from Spain in March, my youngest one, Anthony, was home. My oldest one was still in, he was at school. He's in with the baseball team for college.
Sure.
So they were traveling and whatever. So he wasn't able to come home for it. But Anthony, I mean, he was like just like the perfect big brother. He was, playing with the two
Mm.
girls, because we met here first, then we went over to the, my third surrogate. We went over to their house afterwards.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
all got together. So the two girls were here, and Anthony was just playing with them. I mean, he was digging stuff out of his closet, toys that I had saved for him. So they were playing with
Sure.
everything, coloring, and just so it was very, very, very neat and very rewarding just to kind of see him have that kind of relationship with them. And they're all about Anthony. Where's Ant Man, and where's Nico? And unfortunately,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, yeah. So it's just like they're two big brothers that they have now. So, but yeah, we
Well,
look
it's a
forward.
family affair. Like that's
Yes,
why, that's why we ask the question, like, how does your family feel about it? Because
yeah,
I mean, everyone's a part of it in some way,
yeah.
shape, or form.
Yep, yep, definitely. And even my parents, have grown to, know all three sets of parents, because my parents live like 5 minutes from me.
Mm.
So they've kind of gotten to know them as well, and the kids and everything else. So yeah, it's very special, very, very special. And again, a lot of my
Yeah.
friends were kind of like hesitant, saying, "Do you really want to do this?" And I'm like,
How
it's
can you not?
yeah, if you're physically able to and you're mentally prepared. And again, I enjoyed being pregnant. That was
Yeah.
my thing, and I'm like, why wouldn't you? If you had good pregnancies and enjoyed, just the whole experience, why wouldn't you? It's just,
Sure.
obviously, the compensation is a huge help. Obviously, we've got a new roof
Oh,
and new AC
sure.
unit, all the fun stuff.
Oh, all the
Yeah,
fun stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I did treat myself to a trip to Scotland with my girlfriend about a year and a half ago. We went.
That's a good one.
Like I had three babies for three couples. I'm gonna treat myself to a once in a lifetime trip.
I
Um,
love it.
but yeah. So yeah, but yeah, it was again just one of the best things I ever did. Honestly.
What would you say, to anyone, thinking about doing this? Any advice you would have for, potential gestational carriers? Maybe what were some of the surprises during your journey, just looking back on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think my one piece of advice would be just don't count it out.
Mm,
If you're done with your own family and you had good pregnancies, just look into it because you never know. You never know what difference you can make in
yeah.
someone's life, and you may find out that it's not something you really want to go through with. Once you do, you answer all the questions and you realize how much it entails because it is a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. The hormones and the injections and the calendar. It's a lot. So you really need to be mentally prepared to do this. Um, but you know what? You never know. You never know unless again, if you have a calling for it and you're thinking about it, just explore it because you don't know. And as
Yeah.
far as my three pregnancies, I mean, obviously the ectopic was a bump in the road.
Yeah.
But every other thing was just, yeah. I mean, it was just I don't really didn't have any complaints. I mean, other than just your normal pregnancies at the
Oh,
end
sure.
where you're like, okay, I'm done. Let's deliver this baby.
We're
I'm
uncomfortable.
tired
We're
of
over
yeah,
it. Yeah.
exactly. Although I will say being pregnant during the COVID, because the COVID shut down in March, I had him in June. So the last few months I was home. So which when springtime, summertime in Florida, it's hot. So it's nice
Yeah.
not having to go out, and I could put my feet up, and I could take a little siesta in the afternoon. So it was a
There
little
you
bit
go.
easier to be home for that versus having to get up and go in the office every day and everything else.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
but yeah, I mean, again, I had such an amazing experience that any woman who had good pregnancies and has ever thought about it, can just explore it and just see if it's something that is calling to you, and you feel in your heart, you want to
Yeah.
do because you got to be all in, obviously.
Sure. But it never hurts to ask, even,
Right.
age 40 to 45. It
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean,
hurt to ask.
I never thought at 40 years old I would have been able to do this, but
Yeah.
where you're more or less just you're kind of the oven. As long as everything's
Mm,
good inside, and you got really good doctors, and you've got a great agency that walks you through everything, and it's upfront with you about everything, and that's why
yeah.
again
Just
why not?
trusting that
Yeah,
process.
exactly. Yes, you definitely need to have a great agency. And Surrogate Solutions, you guys were amazing through everything, through the topic
Mm,
and everything else. I mean, every time I had a question or a phone call, I always got a response back quickly, and just walked me through everything. Yeah, it was just just again, just a great experience. I mean, I can't say that
mm,
enough. How amazing it was.
yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. I mean, and again, I mean, it's so wonderful that even years later, and, this is still something that you're so passionate about.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
again, I wish I could do it again, but I'm good.
Gosh. Well, Jenn, my final question to you, it's always a fun one. For anyone who knows me, they know I have a very codependent relationship on coffee. And so I always love to ask, what filled your cup this morning? Literally or figuratively, what was the thing that filled your cup?
Well, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I started back working out at the gym. I had been fighting a
Good for
cold
you.
a little bit, so I finally I got on the horse again and went back to my class and got
There you
that, and
go.
kind of we're getting ready for vacation next week,
Oh,
going
very
up to
good.
Maine. But yeah, I mean, not. I mean, it was kind of a chill day. I mean, I worked from home, so that was always Mondays from home are always nice.
Oh,
Um,
gosh, yeah.
Yeah, Mondays and Fridays, so that's nice. But yeah, I mean, just kind of I guess really nothing really, other than just kind of getting back into my routine and
Oh,
everything
that
else.
always
So
fills your cup. Feeling good about getting back to working
yes,
out and getting to check that
yes,
box, that fills
right.
your
I
cup for
know.
sure.
Feeling I accomplished something today.
There you go. There you go. Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, Jenn, I know for me, um, we're lucky enough within, our surrogate sisterhood to kind of have that fun group of within social media. And I know I personally loved always seeing your stories and words of encouragement and things like that. And so I'm so grateful that here now, 4 years
Yeah,
after your last,
I know.
journey, that, we get to just hear from you and your story. And again, just your passion for helping others in such a unique and wonderful way. And like you said, don't count it out. Just ask.
Yeah, yeah. You never know. I mean, God has a plan for everybody, so you don't know what that plan is, and if you're able and willing and just have that calling, it's such an amazing, amazing thing to do.
It is. It is. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you, Jenn. I'm so grateful for you and your family. And
Oh, thank you.
I so appreciate your time.
All right. Well, thank you, Whitney. I really enjoyed chatting with you, and again, I love talking about it. So anytime, call me up anytime.
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 Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Me, You, and Who. We appreciate your time and hope you enjoyed our discussion today. As we wrap, we would like to remind you of some of the ways that you can stay connected with us and be part of the Me, You, and Who podcast community. Firstly, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode and can stay up to date with our latest content. But that's not all. We also have an exciting YouTube channel where we share some bonus content, behind the scenes glimpses, and video versions of our episodes. Head over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button there as well. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when the new episodes go live. And for more exclusive updates, engaging discussions, and a chance to connect with fellow listeners. Be sure to follow us on our social media accounts. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Create a Happy Family. If you're interested in finding out more about creating a happy family, please visit us at www.createahappyfamily.com. Thank you again for being part of the Me, You, and Who community. Your support means the world to us. I can't wait for you to join us next time as we continue to share stories and journeys of creating happy families.